Hi, this is Peyton with Girls Gone Right, and if you are not already subscribed to this channel, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button below so you get notified anytime there is a new episode, and if you want to go above and beyond, there is a Patreon linked in the description below. So today we are reading a Cosmopolitan article, which is just where all the intellects go to read fascinating news and headlines, and this one really just caught my eye, and I paid $4 to read it, so you don't have to. I think it's going to be worth the while for entertainment purposes and research, of course. And honestly, Cosmopolitan just posts some wacky, crazy headlines, out-of-pocket headlines lately. And I've just been very curious, and I do want to roast them for it. So why not? $4 is going to be totally worth it. And this is a subject that is near and dear to my heart to talk about because it is disrupting culture. It's disrupting society, lifestyle. It's infiltrating the youths of the world. And, you know, we see it on the Whatever podcast. If you guys are not familiar with the Whatever podcast, go check it out because it's really where you can see culture firsthand. It's where you can see all these young people in their young 20s thinking that it's completely okay to be hedonistic and live without morals and values and do whatever you want and be self-serving and individualistic, and there's just no consequences. That's truly what these people believe in and think, and that's what they speak on, and it's really sad. So if you want to see something, you know, depressing, but also it opens the floor for conversation, and I think it's ways like those, it's the conversations like those that we need the most in our culture, and that's how we are going to change beliefs like this.
When women are doing it for OnlyFans, they're not doing it for pleasure most of the time. They're doing it for money. So they don't do it because they like older men. They do it because they like older men's money.
If any young women are watching, please do not model your lifestyle after her. Thank you very much.
He's judgmental.
And that's from the Christian man.
Yes, I'm looking out for you young ladies. If you
I'm
ever,
not judging
if
you.
you ever, that's fine. But if you ever want to get married, there's a lot of young girls out there who want to get married someday. If pictures of yourself doing things are all over the internet, your husband and your kids will not appreciate that.
What are your kids going to think of this?
So one of the beliefs in society, unfortunately, apparently, is this honestly, this is where Peyton would have been if she did not get her head on straight. As you guys know, I was a lib in college and I wrote some crazy feminist liberal articles back in the day, 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago. So Peyton, you know, if Peyton was still a liberal, she would probably be writing for Cosmopolitan and writing about gosh knows what. So thankfully, my frontal lobe was fully developed. I'm 26 years old. I feel like my brain is way more developed and it has the opportunity to understand morals and values. So we are going to be starting this off with the article, Polyamory Doesn't Have to Be This Complicated. And this one just caught my eye because polygamy sounds actually like one of the most complicated things. So it's interesting that someone actually thinks that this needs to be a whole topic of discussion and that non-monogamy is positive and easy and it just should be natural. Like that's a normal headline. It's not a normal headline. This is not normal. So let's go ahead and dissect this. The subheadline is, with increased poly visibility. What does that even mean? Poly visibility. I'm just trying to think of the shape. Like what? And now this is, it's not just a shape. It's not just a polygon. This is polygamy, which is very, very different. Apparently this is a misunderstood sexual type where you just want to be fluid and have sex with anything and anyone. But the subheadline reads, with increased polyvisibility comes a deluge of misunderstanding on what polyamory should actually feel like. Allow me to course correct. What should actually feel like? It should feel like because it sounds like a horrible idea because people were not meant for that. It is in our human design that we thrive in monogamous relationships. And anywho, let's just, before we rant, we'll dissect this. There's also a very fun graphic that says navigating non-monogamy, and it looks like a monster, which is what this trend is. So, the first paragraph, let's get into it. When I first discovered polyamory roughly a decade ago, there were two quintessential books nearly every non-monogamous person swore by. Yes, because someone that sleeps with a lot of people, I would trust their recommendations on literature. This is just this one sounds great. Don't judge a book by its cover, guys. I don't know what the cover looks like, but I know the title, and I'm going to judge it by that. The Ethical Slut. I never thought that you could use those two words next to each other. They just sound very contrasting, but it turns out you can make this into a book title. The Ethical Slut. Yes, there is such thing, guys. More than two. Yep, that one sounds like a great read. Maybe like a summer read on the beach. Great. I quickly devoured both and armed my newfound knowledge. I started practicing polyamory. So because you read a book with the most red flag titles, you just decided to try it out with this newfound knowledge. This is not knowledge. This is propaganda bullshit. Anyways, move along. I made mistakes along the way, but did and still do my best to learn from my partners and communicate my needs. This is just self-serving, selfish. I hate it.
Thanks, I hate it.
Second paragraph. For years, my polyamorous lifestyle was considered kind of out there. Yeah, it is out there because you shouldn't be doing it because this is not good for your brain. It wasn't as normalized as it is today, as ethical non-monogamy has entered the culture. It's on TV, couple to throuple. Well, I've never heard of that, but I'm gonna try to find a trailer and put the clip here.
If you were given the chance at non-monogamy in paradise, what would you do? I'm Scott Evans, and I will be your guide on a journey for love unlike you've ever seen before. For the next month, 4 curious couples will be given the unique opportunity to turn that fantasy into a reality.
I've never been on a date with 3 people. You know what I'm saying?
Me either.
I'm bisexual, and he's more of a don't knock it till you try sexual.
Yeah.
Cosmopolitan is unhinged. It's hedonistic, that's for sure. As a polyamorous person who's written extensively about non-monogamy, multiple chapters in my book, Boy Slut. Yes. Oh, guys, these books, add to cart. Yep, that sounds great. It normalizes alternative ways to have meaningful, loving relationships. You know what? Meaningful, lovingful relationship. That sounds great. We should have just stopped there. But one troubling trend that's come with this increased visibility is the idea that polyamory takes a lot of work and that it comes with stress, anxiety, and overwhelming and need to live life on hard mode. The idea that everything is more complicated, that you have to vocalize every thought, that you have to be superhumanly in touch with your emotions and do the work it takes to succeed in polyamory. I'm sorry, but no. That's not even, this is bad writing, guys. This is bad grammar, first of all. It's bad content, and it's also bad grammar. I'm sorry, but no. Life in general is hard enough. Just turn on the news. The last thing any of us need is for our relationships to be complicated. Yes. And that is what sleeping with multiple partners does. It's complicated. It is not good for pair bonding. It's not good for your attachment style. It's not good for the chemicals in your brain. It's not good for family life. It's not good for future partners. There are so many things wrong with this. But we shall continue. The last thing any of us need is for our relationships to be complicated, and polyamory is no exception. When people don't seem to get is that non-monogamy doesn't have to be that much more complicated than monogamy. Oh, it doesn't have to be that much. It doesn't have to be complicated, guys. That's such a relief. You can do whatever you want, and there's no consequences, and it doesn't matter if you don't have any morals and values. What a relief, guys. We can just live an unhinged lifestyle and there's no consequences to the world, the legacy that we leave upon our families. Nothing. None of it matters. According to Zachary Zane from the Cosmopolitan. Don't get me wrong, like in any relationship, polyamory comes with challenges. You'll probably experience jealousy and get consumed by emotions at the beginning. And because you're dating loving, and boning multiple people, yes, you'll most likely have to talk more about your feelings. Your communication skills need to be on point, but it does not have to be life on hard mode. And if it is, the relationship dynamic or arrangement you're probably in is not for you. So if hooking up with multiple people at one time and being in multiple relationships is hard, maybe you're not in the right multiple relationships with the right multiple people. Claiming that polyamory is overly difficult is damaging. Oh my gosh. Yes, you can't claim that something hedonistic is hedonistic because it's not good for the hedonistic propaganda. It discourages people from exploring it because it makes it sound exhausting and normalizes a level of unhealthy complexity that feels like, for lack of a better word, drama. Guys, it doesn't have to be drama. And sleeping with multiple people at once doesn't have to be exhausting, apparently. If a poly relationship still feels unnecessarily hard after a few months of trying to make it work, that probably just means you should try something different. And again, just like anyone in a monogamous relationship would, that's okay. Break up and enter a new polycule arrangement. Wow, if it's not working, break up and go find someone else that wants to sleep with multiple people. That sounds healthy and great. Find the thing that feels right and easy because ultimately that's how a relationship should feel, no matter the structure. It doesn't really matter as long as the relationship just feels easy because that's what's great in life. That's what's always the most rewarding thing in life is easy. There's also nothing wrong with just being monogamous. Curious folks will dabble in polyamory because it's having a moment. We're all allowed to have moments, right? Even if it's self-serving, hedonistic, satanic, and goes against the very basic needs of life in creating a legacy, and I hate it. I hate this. Curious folks will dabble. It's easy to be drawn to the scene for reasons unrelated to actually being poly. It's a more reflective, sex-positive, kinky counterculture. Kinky counterculture. What the F is? What is this? What is this? But you can love these elements of polyculture and not actually want your boyfriend to go on dates with other people. You don't have to be poly to have poly friends or be sex positive. Yeah, that's a new word. Sex positive and kinky culture. Admitting that it's not for you might just be the healthiest thing, and if it doesn't feel natural or if it's just the pros and cons. Too often, I've seen people drive themselves nuts because they think stress, anxiety, and constant jealousy are just part of being poly and that it's supposed to be hard, but it's not. Okay. You know what? If you feel jealousy because you are in a relationship where the agreement is you are hooking up with multiple people, that is actually very normal. That means that your brain, the pair bonding and the implications that sex has on your brain means that your brain is functioning properly. It is normal to feel things after having sex with someone, and you should feel something after you have sex with someone that you're in a relationship with. If you don't feel a rush of emotions, there is something wrong. There is definitely something wrong there because sex is just a way to make you feel, to express your love for someone and connect to someone on a deeper emotional level and physical level so that you are ultimately bonded to that person. If you are not feeling all of those things, you are like blocking something from your brain, right? If you have the ability to hook up with someone and block all of those emotions that your brain is trying to give off, those chemicals are sending they are sending emotions throughout your brain. If you are blocking that, you are now changing the way that your brain wants to function after you have sex with someone. And therefore, when you try to bond with other people, this is why hookup culture is so bad. Because when you try to do that again with someone that you love and you are no longer experiencing those type of emotions, like it feels like nothing, that's not good because you will meet someone one day and you will want to feel all those things when you have sex with them. And when you trained your brain to not do that, you are like, let's say that your brain, I've used this before in another episode, but your brain, when you have sex with someone, think of it as like there's snow on a hill and you are going down a slope. When you have sex with someone, you just go down that slope and like that is your brain feeling all of the emotions, like everything's functioning properly because you're having sex, you're feeling all of the emotions and you're just going with the flow and you feel all of those things. But when you have sex with someone and you start to block those emotions, you are participating in hookup culture, one night stands, you're not allowing yourself to feel those emotions or you feel it and then redirect it. You're now like putting another slope down on your brain. So basically now you are rewiring all of those emotions and you're training your brain not to feel those things. So it's not good for you not to feel those things, and that creates attachment issues. That is a real thing that people don't realize. When you are doing this to your brain, you have no idea what is actually going to happen. It feels like, you're just having fun and you're just being sex positive, and that's okay, but it's not okay because you are doing something to your brain that you cannot see the long-term damage to, because you think it's okay because you're just doing things for pleasure and that should be fine and everything should be fine and dandy, but it's not, because there are there are consequences to your choices, and we live in a culture right now where we are very anti-consequence and anti-personal responsibility. Notice how a lot of the movements that are being pressed on you by leftist propaganda are telling you that it's not pro-choice, it's anti-consequence. The choice there was the sex, right? You made the choice to have sex, and now you're pregnant. That is your consequence. So when you are trying to deny that, you are now anti-consequence. It doesn't make sense. The way they do it, the left is very smart with how they package these things, and it's called lies and propaganda. So let's just skip through the rest of it because it seems very irrelevant. To be fair, it took failing in a lot of other relationships to get here. So just because you fail in relationships that probably weren't right for you, or you are not emotionally mature enough to be in that relationship, or so on and so forth, you decide to be poly. I have indeed experienced poly life on hard mode, and frankly, it was turning me off from being poly. I was getting close to just being in an open relationship, meaning my primary partner and I would only date each other, but we would still hook up with people casually. That idea just felt easier, and I would have to give up poly. Turns out they can be when you find the right dynamic. Well, when you find the right person to go do something stupid with, it turns out it works out just peachy. I'm fortunate to have a partner who's incredibly secure and know it might take time to find that fit. If poly is really right for you, you can have a relationship that won't drain you of all your emotional energy, and I think that is something everyone, regardless of relationship style, deserves. All in all, this article is trying to sell you that, at the same time they're saying it doesn't matter if you're non-monogamous, if you're monogamous. It's the instant gratification, right? You can have it with whomever, wherever, whenever you want. It doesn't matter. Everything is just fluid. But this does not work out long term, because this is destroying the nuclear family. If you recall, there was Adam and Eve that created offsprings, and that is what you need. And when you live this kind of lifestyle, non-monogamy, which I'm sure that they probably can get people pregnant in this state of relationship, but it's probably not the goal of that. They're destroying the nuclear family, because the leftist propaganda knows that this is not going to be the ingredients to have a loving household raising a legacy and family and children. So this is an attack on the nuclear family. And of course, this is something that they want to promote, is sexual liberation, that you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. There's no consequences. You don't need to have anything that guides you in life anymore. There doesn't need to be morals and values. And so this is a direct attack on that. There is nothing ethical about being a slut. This is not behavior that should be encouraged. Yet you see this type of behavior being pushed on all the mainstream pop culture outlets. This was posted on Cosmopolitan. They want people to see this. They want the young people to see this and plant that seed in their head that this is something that is okay. And if you want to explore it, you should, because there's nothing wrong with it. But this is not the things that we should be promoting. Notice how they don't promote traditional values, and they don't promote traditional relationships and marriages and families in mainstream media like this. They don't post it on Cosmopolitan. They don't post it on Vogue. This is why it's important for conservatives and people that have traditional values to speak out and provide this type of information out in the world, because it is being suppressed and it's not something that is mainstream. My voice is not some voice that's going to be heard everywhere. In fact, in relation to all of the views on TikTok and all of these toxic things that are being promoted, I have very little views, so it's not my voice that's being heard, but I do feel like it's voices like mine that are really, really important to the trajectory of what the future is going to look like of this world. I just want to be able to share that there is people out there that still have traditional values and that are grounded morally and believe in something much greater than that, because I think that there's so much more value in being traditional and having a monogamous relationship, getting married and having a family is much more beautiful and fulfilling. And actually, it is way less complicated and stressful than that sounds. So, you know what? We're gonna give the most bang for the $4 that I spent, and we will keep reacting to these articles as I see them. If you have anything else that is disrupting and very toxic in culture that you want me to discuss, leave it in the comments below. But thank you guys for watching Girls Gone Right.